Sean, tell me the latest from your checking up.
Just that nobody is denying it. There is sort of tacit confirmations. And as I said to you before, you'd have had an angry phone call and or an angry email by now if that story wasn't correct. That everybody knows what a big story that is. And it's on. The question is, as I said before, it's funny, isn't it? It's a bit old school, but nobody actually asks for a transfer anymore, do they? So he's really relying on the goodwill of Tottenham in some way to say, look, I've served you well, I've done a good job for you, I'm 27, 28 in July, I'm not going to win trophies here, I think you should let me go. I don't think Daniel Levy is one for goodwill particularly, so I heard Alex say 110 million before. I don't think Levy's going to let him go for that sort of money. I think it's going to have to be higher than that.
I don't think he should either, but that's a separate issue because I'm not aware of the finances,
I've said this before. It isn't going to be a good look in football if a team splashes out 150 million quid, given all the talk we've had about all the clubs that are struggling in football at the moment due to the pandemic, and somebody goes, bang, here's 150 million pound. It's not going to look good, but somebody maybe is going to get to that level.
When was that ever an issue for football clubs? Let's be frank. I mean, they thought that the kind of prospective buyers thought that the Super League was a good look less than a month ago, and see how that turned out. Matt, do you think Harry, it's a difficult question. You can't read the man's mind. Is he right to be looking to leave Spurs?
I think he is. And I think, as I said before, I think it's understandable. I'm sympathetic to his position. They got very close with Pochettino, and he was part of something that was looking very exciting. And then that marriage disintegrated, if you like, between Pochettino and Spurs. And then he gave it another chance. To be fair to Levy, he then brought in Mourinho, which in terms of managers who tend to deliver success, that was a good appointment, or it looked like a good appointment. But it hasn't worked. So he's worked under two top managers at Tottenham, and they haven't delivered the trophies that he wants before he retires. So it's time to move. The thing is, the irony of this will be, for me though, is if he does end up at somewhere like Manchester United, because I see absolutely zero guarantee that he's going to win any trophies there either.
But don't you think,
my constant refrain that if you play for an English club currently other than Manchester City, you have to beat Manchester City. I think
Chelsea's a good bet as well.
Yeah, and
I think it's Chelsea or Man City are the only ones that I think in the current climate you could be fairly confident of winning some trophies.
What is that, Matt? What's that now saying about Man United though, and for Man United fans?
I just think they're a way off, Sean. I think under Solskjaer they are a way off. Yeah. And yes, of course, Harry Kane would improve their team. And people will be saying, well, hang on a minute, they're about to come second in the league. But I don't see a team at the moment that is anywhere near being able to win the Champions League. And at the moment, I don't think it's going to beat City or Chelsea or, let's face it, Liverpool are going to bounce back. So I think that's the issue. As I say, my gut feeling is it's Old Trafford that that's where he's going to arrive, and I think it will be a slightly strange move. Yeah,
I think what you've said just before is correct. I mean, City is the place where you're probably guaranteed trophies, and City looks like the club where it looks like to me his best option, and possibly it might turn out to be his only option when it comes to the horse trading with Levy.
Well, it might be, and if it is City, I think it's a great move for Harry Kane.
So, and for City, I think he'd fit in brilliantly there because he does more. He's more than just a big lump in the middle, if you like. He drops deep, he links play. He probably fits in very well with the Guardiola philosophy of how they play.
Yeah, and if City also
let me ask you both, and you can understand that this question is coming through a slight prism of heartbreak because I am a Spurs fan. In a weekend when we were going to start this show with celebrating Leicester City's victory in the FA Cup. I mean, isn't this another example here, Sean? I mean, you're talking about the two teams who can do it. They are in the Champions League final, and they're just the powerhouses because one has infinite mineral resources behind him, the other is a nation-state financed team. Aren't we just once again boiling it down to where you'll have those two clubs, the two Spanish clubs, because of the way they've rigged the financial markets in Spain, and PSG will have all the best 100 players in the world will play for 5 clubs.
Possibly
Is it
so,
healthy?
but wasn't it ever thus when Man United was signing all the best players, or when Liverpool was signing the best players? I mean, we have had dominant teams in this country and dominant teams in Europe for many years. It's not an unusual thing. I don't. In fact, if anything, our Premier League is a lot more competitive than, say, old First Division used to be at times. So, I think that's possibly an accident of time that you're thinking, oh, well, we're just going to have powerhouse clubs. You've always had powerhouse clubs. It's no different now.
Sure, I get. Sorry, Matt, please.
No, I was going to say Daniel Levy, of course, will argue that this is exactly why he wanted to join the Super League, because he might have been in a position to keep Harry Kane. But I think the reason and it is a bit depressing, Danny, but I think the reason we are singling out Chelsea and City is because you're talking about a decision, a career decision that he's going to make at 27 to try to, the best chance he's got in the next 3 or 4 years of winning that Premier League title, of winning the Champions League. And if you're a gambling man, you're really only going to back 2 horses at the moment.